I think one of the key challenges that I've seen in digital is selling digital internally. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 10-15 minutes talking about a few points that we as an agency, when we've gone and met promoters of companies or CEOs, how we end up going and selling digital and make it slightly more relevant to them so they start using it. And once they start using it, then a lot of internal processes of approvals become easier. So I'm going to cover some parts of it. Before I start off, let me come back to this slide that I had shown in the first presentation I made, which was how should one think digital. So what we tried to do during the day was take this as a blueprint, that how can you use digital for customer acquisition. So then paid search SEO becomes important. How do you optimize assets? How do you do PPC automation, etc. Then we talked about brand building. So we are used to display advertising for brand building, but that's not adequate. We need to go focus on content creation. How do we actually use a different approach to building a brand on the internet. Then we talked about information dissemination. So we given examples of how companies are using Twitter for information dissemination, or YouTube. YouTube we covered extensively of how companies are using it for advertising, but also very effectively for information dissemination. Then we talked about community building through content being the spinal cord of it. Lastly, ORM and beyond ORM. And then we talked about how do you get consumer insights. So Venkat shared tremendous amount of insights about how ORM can be used to get consumer insights and market trends. In fact, if you can predict stock markets, you can actually get product development ideas. There's so many things, and what happens is in digital, when you connect the dots, these are not silos, right? When you connect the dots, there's a lot of further benefits you get out of it. So same thing that Amit Singh talked about analytics or content creation. You can take a specific city or specific state in India through geo-targeting and get ideas about what kind of messaging will work in that state. It can be even as much as that what features are more important in a certain state. So if you have 25 different models of, let's say, even mobile phones, some feature of a particular mobile phone is very important in a certain state and it may not be as relevant in some other state of India. So when you combine geo-targeting into social media listening, into search data, into analytics, you get a lot of actionable insights. So at the end of the day, I think the key thing is start with the objective in mind. This is the answer that I'm looking for. Then it becomes very easy for you, your team, your agency to come out with ideas how you can find an answer for that question. So many times what happens is that we start off with the thing that, okay, I want to do digital. And I say, so what? So, I want to start doing social media. I say what? And the fact of the matter is they themselves don't have a clue what they want to achieve through that endeavor they're planning to exercise or start on. So if you don't have the objective clear, then it's very difficult for any partner or your team to help you achieve that objective. So moving forward, what I would like to do is, let me start with a few of tips and tricks we've used. So this is just an example, but this is actually relevant to every single senior management you have in the company. Because unless until they start experiencing digital, they are not going to be pro it, and you're always going to face hurdles, because you're going to say that there are 100 million internet users, but you say, TV allows me to reach 400 million people, so you think we should wait for digital to become 400 million. Becomes 400 million, then it still will be something else. Digital, TV gives me branding, but digital doesn't give me branding. So there's always going to be this battle. One of the things I've seen is the companies that we've had tremendous amount of success is where the senior management or the children bought into social media, bought into digital. And after that, the whole process, I've seen spends go up from 5 lakhs a month to 1 crore rupees a month, spends of 25 lakh rupees a year going to 4 crores a year in a period of 1 year short, as soon as the senior management of the company became pro-digital. So this is just one example what I can say, how you can start off with some of the people who are senior management in the company. When I talk to senior management in the company, they tell me, Vivek, you tell me one thing. Why would I want to tell people what I'm doing all through the day? And the fact of the matter is, a lot of people, when they see Twitter, they think that it's constant updates of what you're doing. And it reminds me of this Dilbert cartoon, where Dilbert tells the pointy head boss that, I have a wonderful idea. We want to feel motivated with your insights every day. So we would like you to have this Twitter on your phone, and whatever you're doing, please keep on updating us. And we would love to have that motivation for you every 5 minutes. And then they show this Dilbert is sitting with Sally with his feet up on the bench, and he says, don't worry, he's in the parking lot, he's going to be in the office after 5 minutes. So the thing is, That's what a lot of people think Twitter is about. But Twitter has gone way beyond that, right? But the thing is, for an outsider, when they look at Twitter, what do they see? They see that, oh, it's updating everybody what I'm doing. Why would I want to do that? So what I've seen is that I've set up Twitter as an information filter for them. So, I had a discussion with them. I said, okay, listen, what are the 10 people in the world that you respect? What are the 10 things that you would like to keep a track of? It could be things of personal interest. It could be wildlife photography. It could be anything that they're interested in. And what we did was, okay, if there is any industry news regarding this particular thing, would you like this to be, coming to you? So I made a list of all the people that he felt were important to him, right? And then what happened was he started getting these insights. And what happened was he would not tweet a single thing, but he would get those insights every single day about the people who he respected. And he was a demigod in the country. So then what happened was he started using Twitter every day just to read what's happening to the people who he respected. What happened was he started using Twitter. And at this point in time, he still doesn't tweet. But he gets information filter, because what happens is if somebody who he considers important is saying something, that thing must be important. It happens to all of us, right? What I did was, even 3-4 years back, I spoke at, let's say, AdTech in San Francisco. What I did was I made a list of all the speakers in San Francisco AdTech. Now I knew that if they were tweeting about a book, they were tweeting about an article, they were tweeting about a development in the digital industry, that development must be important because he's taking the time to share it. So what happens is every time when I go, even today, I click on a single list, it says AdTech speakers, it tells me everything that they have tweeted about. If some of the speakers tweet a lot of personal things, they don't give out any relevant information about the digital industry, I sort of unfollow them. But when I click on the list, half an hour I get to know what's happening in the digital industry across the world. The same thing is as relevant to your seniors and your promoters, right? They also need to have filter which is quick, and you don't have to read through 10 pages of Economic Times to know what's happening in the digital industry. If these 50 people or these 200 people are not saying anything about that thing, whatever that thing is probably not relevant and important. So the other thing what I've seen is bad news travels very, very slow the senior and the higher you up in the organization, right? But social media, bad news travels very, very fast, right? So if you take in the case, I think the poster child of that in the billionaire circle is Anand Mahindra, right? Every single CEO in a Mahindra group company is terrified of Twitter. Because if a single user mentions Mr. Mahindra's name and tweets a negative experience, he retweets it back, which is not the best idea per se, but it ensures that mess ups have to become fewer and fewer. You have to set up processes because you know that there is no longer, the bad news is not going to go through the filter of the organization and reach the top boss. It's going to reach there tomorrow. It's going to reach there today. And he's going to ask you a question, what happened, right? So what happens is, I don't know how many of them you are going to like this idea, but if your boss did this, right, it will be useful for the whole organization revamp, because the thing, end of the day, generally bosses don't hear of bad news, right? It's rarely we hear them. Being a CEO of the company, I know bad news is avoided till the last moment it reaches me, and I'm still running a very small company, right? When it reaches promoter level, people who are worth billions of dollars, or even people who are running 10,000 crore, 5,000 crore organizations, the bad news doesn't reach them, and they get a lot of power from this. They know what people are saying about competition, what people are saying about products in the industry, what people are saying about their own product, good news, bad news, anything. And if they follow those 5-10 keywords, they know exactly what's happening on a real-time basis. And that gives them a lot of business insights also about the industry and what's happening, right? They all have personal interests. So many times I've seen is that they may be interested in wildlife photography, they may be interested in conserving something, they may be interested in even luxury goods, which probably you and I may not be able to afford. It could be airlines and yachts or whatever XYZ, what billionaires want. But the fact of the matter is, everybody has interests. So if you set up those interests quickly for them, they can track what's happening, and then it'll force them to start using it more often. Life is very lonely at the top. They all have college friends. They all would like to let their hair down, talk to somebody who per se was friends with them when they were not so big, right? And the thing is, all of us, like, I'll give you an example. One of the person in the audience, Ali, he was in college with me 15 years back. We met up together, but we got connected through digital. And then because of him, he's meeting other college friends on Saturday, and I'm going to plan to meet up with them. I'm going to meet 10 of my college friends after a 10, 12 year period. It's just fun meeting up with old college friends, right? Because we're going to laugh at the same joke again and again, which we have already laughed on it 100 times before, right? So the needs are very much the same. What we feel is that those things become as important at all levels of the organization, especially people who have not grown up with the internet and computers right from the childhood, right? I think, this is another important thing, right? So many times I go to colleges and there are 500 students in the audience. Now what happens is everybody wants my email address, and then half of them end up sending me the CV, right? So what happens is it becomes very difficult for me also not to give my email address. So I actually had created an alternate email address which would go to a filter and would go through HR, right? But if you ask me, the better way, even at my level I face this challenge, what happens when you are one of those demigods? You're senior management, you're a CMO, right? The CMO of a large company comes to this conference, people like me, there are 100 people like me will be all after him, give me your card, give me your email address. What if they had a card which said only the Twitter ID? The best part of the Twitter ID is you're giving out a contact detail. If that person says something relevant, if that person has made enough impact, you can always follow him, you can direct message him, but he has to say, and if it's not important, you can ignore it, and most of the large demigods don't reply to every tweet, right? It's acceptable social media thing of not replying every single tweet. But even if I write to Mr. Anand Mahindra on email and I don't get his reply, at somewhere in my heart I'll feel offended. I say like, how come he's not replying to my email, right? Twitter is fine, right? So what if they can share information, contact details without actually sharing it? They actually get a multiply effect for all the companies. So what happens is that if they want to share something which is good across all the companies, across all their followers, they end up having pretty large number of followers. So automatically, when it reaches that level where they start using Twitter more often, they can start getting a multiply effect for all the group companies they have. So these are like just 5 benefits or 7 benefits of what a promoter can use social media for, or senior management can use social media for. But these benefits are hundreds when they start using it. All of us know that once they start using it, they're going to get hooked onto it. And next time when you talk about social media, they're not going to stare at you that blankly anymore, right? And it's important. If you don't do this, right, our industry is going to continue suffering. At 5% of total ad spend right now, the 5 will become 7, but it will never become 40 and 50, right? So this need is there, and some of us has to evangelize it and do it. If you take corporate communications, similarly I've done, a lot of times I've seen PR companies, corporate communications departments of our own companies, they have spent the last 30 years on understanding conventional media. They cannot switch off that and shift to digital very easily. But there are so many things that they can do and they can use which can be beneficial to the organization themselves. The key is how do we get them to start doing it? So if they understand the concept of ORM, today Venkat covered, it's just not about ORM, it's about understanding the pulse of what's happening in the country, right? And that is something which is so important, understanding what's happening in that industry, in that vertical. Set up dashboards for them, they can track what's happening. Set up, how SEO can benefit them. I was giving an example of Kensho. If I right now go on the Google and search, so let me show to you one single press release, what it can do. I gave an example of mutual funds earlier. So the funny part is this. So if I search for the keyword Kensho, right, the first company that comes up is Kensho themselves, obviously, right? The second company that comes up is Communicate2. They are just partners for Kensho, marketing Kensho in India. Imagine a single press release did this. Imagine if a single press release can bump up your results for a keyword to the place that you want. I can't get better than this, right? Better than this, I will have to beat Kensho themselves. They'll have to be above Kensho for their own keyword, which is never going to happen. But the thing is, this is a large corporation, raised $50, $100 million. We just signed up with them. We just put up a press release which said, Communicate2 brings Kensho to India, hyperlink Kensho out here. Show this to your PR department, and suddenly their excitement about SEO itself and social media itself could go up. These are small tips and tricks. What you do is just see that, okay, what is it that they have in the KPI, and can digital do something that will help them meet the KPI? And if you do one or two of these things so that the KPIs are met, then you'll have corporate communication department in your, PR departments on your side, and then digital becomes easier. Information dissemination. There's so many times there is a very dire need of ensuring that people get, what do I say, information dissemination within the company with a certain set of stakeholders. Now with things like, Google Plus is so easy, right? So let's say you have a circle of all the high value customers. Then you have a circle of mid-level, mid-value customers, and let's say low value customers who give you very little business, but they're customers of yours. Now what happens is you have, let's say 100 passes for a certain event, right? What you can do is the first circle share goes, we have 100 passes if you're interested. That is the only circle of the high value companies who gets that offer. If 55 of them sign up and confirm, next 45 passes are shared with the middle value customers. So what happens is that if you share 100 passes with all the possible customers, this has to be done manually, right? And then what happens is, I have a friend who's a customer who will not be a high value customer, but he'll still get a pass, right? So all the corporate politics inside can easily get eliminated, so that if you are sponsoring and you're investing monies into certain thing, it gets distributed equally as per the benefits to the organization. So I've given a few ideas here for the corporate communication department, but I'm sure we sit with them, we understand the KPIs. The key is that if we have a certain amount of knowledge about digital, we have learned a lot in the last many years. The key is that if we really want to evangelize digital and want to make digital become big in our own companies, educating other departments is absolutely critical. And there is no interest from their side till the time you do something that's going to meet their KPI, right? So I'm giving a few examples out here, but some of these things could be very relevant, right? If you go to a corporate communications guy and say, listen, I'm going to give you a tool by which you will get computer information on a real-time basis every hour, and when you do this meeting with the CEO of the company, you will have 20 slides prepared for you within 20 minutes, because everything else, and they would have to do it calling 100 people, 20 people, making phone calls, and that also that information is going to be inaccurate. So now what happens is you've met the need of that corporate guy, right? So the thing is that if you can come up with a few ideas, see, all of you know your companies much better than what I do. So when you talk about your own company, you talk about the corporate communication guy, we're talking about an individual, yeah? We know his needs, we know his KPIs, we know what is it that he gets a kick out of life on. If digital can be leveraged to help him get that kick, he's going to be supportive to digital. And all these things are relevant for all of us, right? We all have these needs of information dissemination. I've just made it slightly more attuned to the corporate part, right? Let's take marketing and branding. So this is something which we've been doing. So many times what happens is that there have been goof-ups where ads have gone out and it did not communicate what it was supposed to communicate. The test market that we chose was wrong. Digital now allows us to test market so many things so quickly. I can have the same ad going to 22 states with 22 states different results coming to you. Different regional language ads can be tested. You can get data of the people when they come to the site, what they do, how much time, depth of visit they have, how much time they spend, right? Very quickly you can do this. You can now identify trends, right? So if I say trends, let's say, I'm just giving an example that you have to take a call of what brand ambassador that you should have, right? If you just put the celebrity names of different brand ambassadors into a tool, let's say Google Insights, you actually get which celebrity endorsement would work best for you. Has everybody seen Google Insights? Let me just show an example. I think this will become very, very relevant. And when you see it, it becomes very exciting. So let's take a popular topic. Which are the other actresses? Any personal preferences? Huh? Priyanka, I think that's a good one. Sorry. How many Kapoors are there? Yeah. So, okay. So, if you just look at this, right, what does this graph show you? So, it basically says that till 2007, 2008, the blue line, which is Katrina Kaif, was way below Aishwarya Rai, right? And look at the jump that she's taken from 2007 onwards, and where the number of searches of Katrina Kaif is as compared to all the others, right? Did this happen through the hit she's got, because she's gorgeous, because of Chikni Chameli? You can actually go down, and if you go further, I'll show you. This is actually, look at this. These spikes that are there, this probably is the time when probably she got married, or Aishwarya Rai. Okay, I've made a spelling mistake in Aishwarya, so just see how that changes. Look at this. The last spike that you see, that was the time when Beti B was born, right? So suddenly what, it was just a small spike, came down back again, so where the normal levels were, right? So just imagine if this was done for our competitors, for their products versus our products, through all the things that we want to compare. We know the search trends, we know when the spikes were, where are we featuring, where are we in the real sense of number of searches in India, gives you a perspective of where we are today, right? And it's so easy, right? It's a free tool, any one of us can access it. Imagine this if you give it to the corporate communication department in your office, and they were able, or the marketing department in your office, and they can put this in their slides. What would be beneficial to them? Hopefully not the Katrina Kaif one, but at least your product information that they put in, right? So these are the kind of powers these tools have, right? If you can come out with the right key metrics, go to a CMO with this kind of information, I'm sure he's going to start looking at digital more than what he does at this point in time, right? You actually can get content creation ideas, you get consumer behavior ideas, the identify trends. I was looking at trends that when we built the marathon videos, we saw the word marathon, number of searches for it were just going up and up and up. It was just going through the roof. Every month there was a breakout search, marathon, long distance running, A6 shoes, etc. It was just showing us a trend that, okay, if you have to build content, why not build content what is going to, or even like, like Nikhil out here is in, customer support in the IT industry. What if you could take devices which are going to come and become important? So let's say right now Pinterest has become suddenly a big buzz in the social media circles, right? What if you were to support people who want to start using Pinterest? Charge 3 times the price. Have 3, 5, 10, 15 individuals who are experts on that, provide videos for it. If that does become as big as Twitter, tomorrow your videos will have a few million views every day, right? So the key is that if you put these keywords into a tool, it keeps on telling you what the next thing is going to be, and that's going to be useful to you. So I think we covered the Tata, not Indigo, but Tata Indicom, what was the car we covered? Tata Indica. Example, what products we should prioritize. We should have 2 SIM cards, or GPS, or Wi-Fi, or 3G in our mobile phones. We can get real-time customer feedback. We can plan products. So every single department, if we actually think and come out with things that we can do for them, I think it's going to be very useful for our own companies. It doesn't have to be limited, digital doesn't have to be limited to the marketing department of the company. And once we sell this idea to these different departments, all the departments have heads. They all meet at the board level, they all meet at those C-level meetings. That's when digital will get excited, right? They'll discuss digital and it'll become exciting for all of us. So what I'm going to do is now, finally, let me just summarize what we've covered during the day. So key is, digital is much more than customer acquisition. I think till now, all the time we have thought of digital from a customer acquisition point of view. It has gone way beyond that. It's useful for a lot of other things. And I think the key is, as an organization, we have to plan a sort of a digital plan or digital blueprint of what we want to achieve through digital. What we want to achieve, and then how digital can be leveraged to gain a competitive advantage. Branding, if you want to do through digital, the approach has to be different. If you replicate your approach of conventional media into digital, you're going to fail, right? And the thing is, the worst part is your senior management is going to tell you that I told you first. I told you before that it's going to fail. The thing is that if you do it successfully, the opportunities are tremendous, right? Social media listening is a very, very nascent industry, but it can give you a lot of insights which are way beyond just ORM. ORM is sort of a reactionary measure, right? Something negative happens, you want to protect it. But you can use social media listening across all the other things that I discussed and what Venkat discussed. It can go way beyond what ORM is. The key is that we start using it. Digital has to be planned. You may work with different agencies, but at an overall blueprint level, you may have to have digital in all silos. You can come up with one example, and then all the different digital platforms will all come together to give you the multiplier effect. And that's very, very critical. A lot of times we say, okay, oh, this is a social media idea. It not necessarily may not be. You can use paid media for it. You can use other platforms of digital for it. You can get that idea based on social media listening. You can do a lot of things which are taking strengths of different platforms to make sure that the idea sees the light of the day. Right? It's not about that, oh, I have to do this, but I have to only use Facebook for it. The objective is, this is what I want to do. I'll use a combination of the digital platforms. Whichever digital platform has maximum strength and contribution, that's the kind of percentage I should give to that digital platform. All departments in the company can leverage digital, right from the promoter to the research and development department of the company. It's not limited to the marketing department. So this is one key thing that, so the way I would look at today's plan and what I would like to offer as a takeaway is that I think if you just take it from a holistic bird's eye view basis, we've covered basically all these things, but with 50-70 minutes detailed presentation on each of these topics. So then what happens is next time, a lot of these things, we've obviously covered a lot of content, but next time somebody is talking about replicating your conventional media strategy on digital, you will have a few answers why this should not be done. If somebody wants a common creative message across all your search campaigns, you're going to say, okay, give me an example. If somebody searches for safety Ferrari, would you still want to say that it's a very fast car? Because it's counterintuitive, right? When you take the search term, it's counterintuitive. But taking a unified message, one single consolidated message for all your consumers is not wrong, right? Conventional media has always worked that way. But that's not relevant for search specifically. It may still work for banner advertising to a certain extent. But these are things that, when somebody is discussing this with you tomorrow, all these ideas will pop up because now you have ideas of what can be a different approach. So I think I'll leave this floor open for any questions. We've got about 10 minutes remaining, but I thought that at least this is what, and if take one or two key takeaways from today's entire day's workshop, my recommendation is go ahead and try it. If you've been thinking about content creation for long, you know that this content would be relevant to your brand. You want to create a video, you want to create a blog, go to Google Traffic Estimator, go to Google Insights, go to Google Trends, see what the trends are, what the traffic estimator tells you about the number of searches happening on a certain keyword, and see, okay, what kind of video can we create? What are the examples of videos that you can find on YouTube on that topic? If the top 3 videos on that topic are very, very professionally good quality videos produced by big publishers, there's no need to compete on those 3 keywords. There are 20 others where you can compete on. So if you search for the keyword cricket, and there are like thousands of articles and posts and blogs and webinars and video and IPL videos and everything on cricket, then creating videos on cricket may not make sense. But then what happens is suddenly you say, hey, you know what? Tips on underhand bowling, underarm bowling. There is no videos on it. Wow. Okay. What are the number of searches? May not be too much, but the fact of the matter is, every single person who plays cricket, someday or the other in his building, he's done underarm bowling. And there are tricks in which there's one bowler that I knew who would spin the ball in such a manner that after the ball would bounce, rubber ball and tennis balls, it would just spin and become faster. And he was a dread in our society. So I would love to always learn how he bowled, and I never learned. Right? I still regret it after 15 years. But the thing is, what if you come out with 25 different tips of making somebody a better underarm bowler, and it becomes popular in societies and kids, all the age group between 10 and 15 who all play in their building. Suddenly you have content. How do you play shots with underarm bowling? How do you, what are the cricketing shots to use when, how do you hit the ball so that one tup should always happen? Because, a lot of times we play that one tup is not out or whatever, X, Y, Z, or etc. So now what happens is you take a humorous side of things, but you give valuable advice, and you take the best building players of cricket and create 25-30 videos of learning cricket for everything with rubber balls and tennis balls and underarm bowling, etc. Right? Now what happens is, if you go to YouTube right now, you know that there is a potential demand for this kind of content, right? I've thought of this idea right now. Hopefully when you hire me, I'll think of ideas for you too. but the fact of the matter is, there is no paucity of ideas of content can be created, right? Because there are millions and millions of keywords, and every keyword has a search. There are 11 billion searches happening on Google every month. You can't go wrong with that content. You just find what is relevant to your brand, how can you connect your brand with that content, and there is so much of paucity of content on YouTube in any case, because the bigger publishers can never cover it. The best thing about YouTube is that if you are a big publisher like a Balaji or whatever XYZ in Yash Raj Films, they can never create exhaustive content for niche topics, for niche psychographics, because it's not financially viable for them to produce it. It's going to be left to you and me. It's going to be left to brands, which is the kind of content which will be relevant to them as brands, and once they create it, nobody else can, and that brand engagement is something that you can then dominate over a period of time, right? So everybody will say that if you want to play cricket in your building, this is an exhaustive set of videos you must see. You will become the best player in your building is our promise, right? And that's all is needed, right? And then half of India in their own chawls and nukkards and buildings, everybody does play cricket, right? Even I know that one of my friends were telling me that every Sunday they meet in the building. Even now he's 35 years old and he's going and playing cricket every Sunday. And he was telling me to come, and I was very, very tempted because I'm really good at underarm cricket. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Vivek. It's been a wonderful day, and I think the most best part of it is the audience who have been here for such a long time and then participative